Hello and welcome to our Multistory House project in ArchiCAD. This is the second video in our series. In the first video, we developed the ground floor of the project up to the stage as displayed on my screen. We were able to draw the walls and the create columns and stairs and the various doors and windows for the project. In this tutorial, I want us to dive deep into building the project. We will continue with the upper floor for the project. So I will show you how to do the upper floor walls, how to do the upper floor windows and doors and beams and columns and all those building elements that are part of that story. So what we'll do now is I will navigate to the ground floor and I'll do some few adjustments before we go to the upper floor. The first thing I'll do is I'll start by resizing this text for the zones. So I'll select them and open the settings dialog, and under sample text style I will change the font size to 2 millimeters, then click OK, and you will see some readjustments in terms of how the text appears on the plan. So before we go to the upper floor, I want us to do some settings here, and we will activate the story settings by going to design and then design and then story settings here. So the very first story, we called it ground floor. I want us to call the second one upper floor, and the third one will be our roof level. So each of that is as a height of 3 meters height to the next story. So that is set. I will click OK here, and as you can see, and in the project map under stories, you see the changes that we have made have already reflected on that map, on the project map. So with our ground floor in place, in the project map, we will navigate to the upper floor by double clicking on it. So I double click on the upper floor, then it opens this. Because there is nothing that we have created up there, you will see just a blank screen with only the part that has the stairs showing, because it is already in place. The staircase is already in place and is going to show on the stories above. So what we do, because we want to create a replica of the ground floor as part of our upper floor, we will show the ground floor on the upper floor as a trace reference. So what we do is I will right click on the ground floor here, then choose the option show as trace reference. So if I click on show as trace reference, you will see all the elements in the ground floor are now appearing on our upper floor as a trace. It's not editable, it is only used as a guide so that we'll be able to place the walls for the upper floor directly above those for the ground floor. So we start as normally. If we follow the construction process, so we start by putting, or rather having our beams in place. So I will activate the beam tool by going under design, architectural tools. Here we have the beam tool. Then I go to the settings dialog for the beam Control T will open the settings dialog for any of the activated architectural tools. So for the beams, I want the beam to have a depth of 200 millimeters and a width of 200 millimeters, just a small one. And then the rest, we have the segment settings. So it's going to be a rectangular structural segment with these settings as already we had set them under the beam options. I don't want the beam to have any hole. Then under floor plan and section, just leave these pens as default. You can change them if you want to have something different. Then there is structural analytical parameters, and the structural function for this now appears as undefined, but because we know that this beam is going to be a structural beam, it's a structural member for our building, we will set it here as a load bearing element, and it's a standard structural member, and click now OK. So when we have all those settings in place, we can now start distributing our beams on the plan. So we'll have a beam going round. So we are referring to the floor, to the ground floor, and this is where we are going to have our beams running through up to the center point, then up to this end. We will also have should be able to see those beams in place. We'll need to have a beam here. We have another one here. Let's say moving up to this point, and this at the center. We also have another one that moves up to join that other side, and we have this. So what I want us to do is to copy all these beams, then copy them and paste them on the ground floor, so that they will now be the beams that are supporting. They are now supporting our slab up there. So when we view this on 3D, this is what we can see. Let's wait for this to appear. We have our beams at this point. We have these ones that appear to be suspended up here, but I am going to join them using columns, and we'll have a slab up here for support. So let's get back to ground floor, so that these beams should move up to this point. Then there is supposed to be another one joining that point, so that if you look at it, this is what you are going to see. This part here is what I am emphasizing on. So let's get back to to the upper floor. We have our beams in place. And with the beams in place, let me just do away with them for now. So I will activate the beam tool, and I control A. I will delete the beams on the upper floor only. So let's just take a preview. Yeah, that's what we are supposed to be seeing. So back to the upper floor, and the very first thing is to have let's say now we need to have a slab as set. Then the slab is going to cover this. Should move up to this point all the way until we have a complete rectangle. So with the slab in place, this is how now the floor looks like. So from there we will have columns. So as previously done, we'll get to design architectural tools and activate the column tool. Then we'll open the settings dialog for the column and have it as 200 by 200 cross section with the positioning as top link linked to the roof level. Click OK and start placing those beams, columns where we have these intersections. So we have a column there, we have a column there, column. So just follow along as I place the columns, so that when you are working on your project, you will be able to do the right thing. We also have a column at that intersection, another column. So I hope you are now understanding what we are doing. Column here, column here. We are looking at the trace, that we have created, which is a replica of the ground floor, so that now you know where we have a column on the ground floor and the column is extending upwards. We are also supposed to have a column on the upper floor at that point. So after placing our columns, this is how it is supposed to be looking like. So if I was to disable the trace, that is how you will be having your upper floor looking. So this is the view. So navigating to the 3D view, you'll be able to see the columns now appearing as such. So we can be able to customize them even on a 3D. But right now what I want us to do is get to the upper floor plan, select all columns. So delete this, select all columns, go to the settings dialog, and under floor plan and section, you need to change this, you need to change that, you need to change that, I need to change this also. And then there is option here for override cut fill pens. So I will choose both. I will have that as dark and click OK, so that when we look at them from this view, we are able now to see there is no difference with the ground floor columns. So now the second step is to create the walls. So now we have our columns, we need to have the walls in place. So as previously done, we'll go to design, and under architectural tools we'll activate the wall tool, and then open the settings dialog for the wall tool. Under geometry and positioning, the wall is supposed to be a basic structure. Option this option selected here, we will have a straight geometry method as selected, and a straight wall complexity. So now we set the thickness, or rather that's the thickness, the wall thickness as 200 millimeters. I have the options for the floor plan section left as at now. So we draw our walls, then we will get back to doing the floor plan and section settings. So we start with this point. We'll draw the wall up to this edge. We'll continue with placing the walls. So I'll just do it as fast as possible, because as at now I hope that you're able to follow up along. We need a wall here, we have a wall at this section, need to adjust this to that point. We have a wall between those two columns. This creates the very first room. So we are working on the walls. So that's it with the upper floor walls. So we need to get a preview of this in the 3D. Activated as seen. Now we have the walls in place. So with the walls in place, we go back to the ground floor, the upper floor, which is the floor plan. Then we, under design and architectural tools, we activate the beam tool. We'll need to have a beam. So I will have changed geometry method. Then I can draw my beam all through this point, connecting to the very last point here. We also have a beam from this point to that point. Then we have a beam from this column all the way to this column, extending through that and back to this column. And the last one, I think with that, let's see how that looks in 3D. With that, we are moving. We have the beams in place now. Let's get back to the plan and select all walls. So I'll activate the wall tool and use Ctrl A on my keyboard. I will select all walls, use Ctrl T and open the settings dialog for the wall. Under floor plan and section settings, I will move up to where we have cut surfaces. We have option for override cut fill pens. So here I will select both. Then I will choose the cut fill foreground pen to be number 1 and the background pen to be also number 1. And then under outlines we have uncut line pen. I will also check that to pen number 1 and click OK. So for our ground floor, our floor plan, this is what is going to be seen. So we have that in place, and then we need to label the rooms, and I'm going to use the zone tool for labeling the rooms. So I will go here under design, architectural tools. I'll activate the zone tool. Then I will open the settings dialog for the zone tool. Under name and positioning, let's change settings for sample text style. So the font is going to be 2 mm. So I click OK. And then I will have under info box contents, I'll have the construction method as rectangular. Then I will draw them from the inside of the room. Place them at the center. So with that as our first zone, I want to edit this so that the name here, I'll delete the number, then the name is going to be, this is our third classroom. This is third classroom, and the category is under education and culture. So I click on OK. So that is in place. I will go to the next one, which is this. So I draw and place the zone at the center. Then edit this also. I will have the number deleted, and I will call this classroom 04. There are options here where we have the name. There's an arrow that if you click, you will be able to select the name that you want to appear for your room. So mine is going to be a custom one. That's why I am able to specify the name by typing it. So the category also is going to be education and culture. You have that done. I will get back to here, create this. Then this is an office. So I will type here office, and under category select office and click on OK. The very last one, I'm going to use a manual method of getting the area. So we'll tap up to that point. This is the passage, or you can call it lobby. Don't know which name will fit better, but because this is just for demonstration purposes, let's just call it a lobby. So I'll select that, go to the settings dialog, I will type the name, and the category is under communication and access. Click OK. We have that updating. Then I can be able to move it somewhere up to that point. Let's check the text. Text is okay. So as at now, we have the plan developed up to that point. If you compare with the ground floor, you see we have things like windows and doors, and we also have these grid lines, which I want them to appear also on the upper floor. So what I do is I will under document, and under document I will activate the grid element, then Control A to select all grid elements. Then I will go to the settings dialog for the grid elements, and under floor plan I will choose here show on story, 1 story up, or rather I would just say show on all stories, then click OK. So what this settings does is, in every story we create, we'll be able now to have the grid elements showing up there. As you can see, we now have them on the ground floor, we have them on the upper floor, we will also be having them on the roof level. So back to the upper floor, and we'll go to design architectural tools, activate the door tool, and settings dialog for the door. We will select this one, door 24. Preview and positioning, we have 900 millimeters at the width and a height of 2.1 meters. That's okay. Door leaf, select style this, number 34, or any other style that you would like to have for your door, and the handle, and the opening type should be side hang. So click on OK, and we need to have a door at this point. We have another one here, we also have another one here opening to that room. So now we have options for entry and exit into the rooms. So we need to have options for daylighting and ventilation, and this is going to be the windows. So now under design, architectural tools, so click on window tool to activate it. Open the settings dialog for the window default settings. We'll have window 24 as our favorite option, and these are the settings. We have the width as 1.8 meters and the height as 1350 millimeters, and the sill to story height as 750 millimeters. So if you're okay with that, you will click OK, then place a window here, place another window here. We have another window at this point, and we have two on these walls. We have one on this side. We have a small one for the office. So for the office, I'll select that, and let's say we will have here 1.2 meters for the office area. So now that we have our doors and windows in place, I think we have really been able now to develop the floor plan for the upper floor of our house, as you are able to see on your screen. If you look at this in 3D, you'll be able to understand the amount of work that we have put in place. So this is it. That's how to do the upper floor. In the next tutorial, I will show you how to put a protective railing for this area. We will have a balcony railing for this area. Then I will also show you how to create a roof, and with that we will have modeled our multi-story house up to the very last bit. So thank you for following up to this point. I hope you've learned something. I hope this video has been helpful to you. You are able to learn a new concept, and you are able to now to get better into modeling using ArchiCAD. I request you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, share this video with your friends, and like it. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up, and until next time, keep practicing. Cheers.